Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
Matt, welcome to The Razor's Edge.
Thank you.
It's a year since Death Rattle came out, so
Mm.
what's the fans' reception been to the album?
It's been really staggering, actually. More so than I think on any of our previous albums. The reviews that have been coming in are better, are across the board, generally better. We're having the reception has been greater than we've had on any of our others, so that's been amazing. That's more, I guess, from like the mags and the blogs and the zines and stuff. From like our fans' perspective, I think we've heard nothing but good things from them. I mean, we get that with every album, but yeah, I think the reception has just generally been better for this one. It's tough to tell really, because when you're like looking at it that closely for so long and then it goes out, it's like, is this actually any good? Do people, you spend so many months sort of poring over it and listening to it on repeat as you're mixing, mastering, and all the rest of it. So it's I think it's been received very well. At least that's what it seems.
Yeah, and there's been a couple of lineup changes, hasn't there, over the last few years? Is the current lineup a settled one now?
Yeah, I think so. I think what the main sort of thing with that was the pandemic. I think that caused us all to rethink like our priorities in life. Like, yeah, it's difficult to sort of part with our old bassist Chris, but it was the right decision, I think. We now have, so there's the four of us in at the minute, and we still have Chris White, who's like writes with us but doesn't perform live. So most people will see us as a four-piece, but when we come to writing, which we're doing at the minute, he's very much involved, and we still value his input and his creativity and everything. So the current lineup is working. It's working really well. And yes, I think this is what it will be for the foreseeable.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Death Rattle tour.
Mhm.
You've got 8 UK dates across the first half of the year, really, and 12 European dates as well. So
Mhm.
first off, the European dates spread across 2 weeks in April. How did they come about? How did that tour come about?
It's the diligent and hard work of the twins in the band. So Elliot and Ryan Cole, we don't have a booking agent. It's all DIY, and I've got to give them credit where credit's due. It's nothing to do with me really. I do handle some stuff. I think within any band you get different roles and kind of like certain things I see to. I don't really tackle the bookings. They are very good at it, so much so that they book for other bands coming over to the UK. They'll book up tours and things like this, right? So they do it and they do it well. I mean, the routing over the years has gotten better and better, which is nice to see as well. So it's not quite as sort of all over the shop, but yeah, it's exciting. Really looking forward to getting back out on the road. Yeah, not long now actually, start of April.
Yeah. And that's over a 2 week period, really. But your UK dates are more spread out, and I assume that's to fit in with day jobs, family life, that sort of thing.
You got it. Yeah, I think if annual leave was permitting, we would do more than we actually do. It's tough. I mean, we've all got lives. Some of us have kids, and it's that thing. We've got to make it work for us as well.
Absolutely. So, are there any areas in the UK this tour that you're not covering that you want to get back to?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we've been neglecting the north, especially so Scotland. We've not been to Scotland now for a couple of years. It's like we really do need to get back up there, and it's tough. There's a lot of people saying they'd like to see us up there, and I feel that's one that we've been like quite sorely neglecting. So I'd like to get back up there. We're covering the south fairly well, I think. I feel. But yeah, sort of like towards the north as well. I think we could be doing the northeast a little bit more than we are doing. The last time we played northeast was probably Hull, going back sort of tail end of last year. This year, there's nothing really. I'd say most of our shows are probably the European shows this year. We have, as you sort of say, we've got a scattering throughout the year on weekends and things, but it's because we can do them on weekends rather than going out to Europe. You've kind of got to do block bookings. You've either got to do like long weekends or the nice couple of weeks that we've got. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, first show of the tour was in Banbury last weekend. How was that?
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was really good. It's sort of a local show for us. It was quite easy to do. It didn't involve, traveling for hours on end. It was something that we could fit in around our schedule. And it was nice because there were sort of minimum overheads. It meant that we could earn a little bit, sell a bit of merch, and start funding the April tour, which is what, like, there's lots of initial outlay stuff. So the more we can kind of generate now, it eases the pressure off us individually when it comes to the tour. So that kind of helps to pay for the crossing, and that sort of thing, getting over to the mainland and this sort of. So yeah, it all has to be factored in.
Oh, absolutely. And how hard is it for you for a band of your size to generate that income to be able to pay for tours?
Well, it's kind of, I think, when we're on a good day, we're kind of like, it's self-sustaining, and that's what we really just want, is to be able to like just keep this thing rolling, keep the momentum going, and not have to dip into our pocket as much as we did when we first kicked it off those many years ago. So playing shows, like, to be honest, there are very few times where we go, that wasn't a show worth doing. Sometimes we'll come away from, it can sometimes be when there's a door deal or something and there haven't been many people that turn up, and we kind of go, crikey, the diesel to get here costs more than like what we're seeing. And then you rely on the merch sales, but of course your merch is depleting, and then you need to stock up again. So it can be tough, but I think for the most part, we're quite sensible with how we do stuff. We're kind of thinking, right, okay, is this an earner? Is this something that, because you have to take a hit somewhere sometimes. It doesn't always work out. I think that's the nice thing about a tour, is some of the dates might not be so profitable, some of them are, and it's kind of, it all evens out in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for anyone coming to any of the dates, be it in the UK or in Europe, what can they expect from the show?
Crikey. So we put on, like, we're very energetic as a band. Like, it was quite telling when we're playing with other bands, and you sort of see, like, I think it's within this genre, it can be quite slow and sludgy. It's you don't see a lot of movement. It can be quite a lot about attitude, whereas I feel like we move quite a lot when we're on stage. So it's frenetic. It's musically, it's kind of like, yeah, you've got like heavy groove influences there, but it's also quite progressive, and it's kind of got so sort of doom, sludge, groove rock in there. It's kind of, there's a bit of a sort of a melting pot of all sorts of different kind of groovy sounds. But from a live show, just pure energy. I think there's a lot of energy on stage.
Yeah, and you've got quite an extensive back catalogue now. So how do you piece a set together, especially for headline tour, when you've got that longer stage?
So that can be quite difficult. We often, between us, it can be a bit of a divisive thing of, what songs who wants to play, and making sure we cover something from each release, but also trying to factor in, like, the fact that, we've got a most recent album that we're supposed to be pushing. It is, Death Rattle tour, so we should be playing majority material from that, but also not forgetting some of the favorites that, like, not only people enjoy hearing, but we enjoy playing. I think if you're going out on a string of dates, you're going out for 2 weeks across Europe, it's nice to have some variety in there as well. So being able to chop and change, pull a few things in, you won't get the full hour plus set every night. Some nights you might have to like cut it down a little bit. So when you're condensing it, what are the most important ones you want to hit through? Thinking about something that we fall foul of is that we have lots of different tunings across our songs. It gives chance to have lots of different ranges. So yeah, it's trying to be sensible with that as well is also a big part.
Yeah, fair enough. And you're also on the main stage at Bloodstock this year. So I assume, and you may not know, it may have been one of the twins. Who offered you it? Was that Simon? And how did you land that the main stage slot?
So I know exactly how it happened. It wasn't me personally. It was Ryan. He was at work, and yeah, he told me the story shortly after it had happened. So he was at work. He received the phone call from Simon, and Simon said, "Look, mate, I've got a gig offer for you." And he's like, "Oh, all right, mate." And Simon said, "So it's this weekend, right? Okay, it's the Bloodstock weekend, right? That's great. It sounds like we're going to be back. I would like you to play on the Dio stage at Bloodstock for this coming year." And he was like, Godsmacked. So he was, yeah, I mean, it was a shock coming to me, but it was secondhand. I can only imagine what it was like coming to him, like sort of caught off guard at work. Yeah, it's amazing. We are truly honoured. Really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be the biggest show we've ever played, and hopefully it does some good things for us. I'm just looking forward to being there for the weekend. I'm going to be going there because we're opening the Friday on the main stage. I'll be going there on the Friday and just riding the wave of that, like, for the whole weekend, I'm going to stick around and just be like, Christ, that was yeah. I'm looking forward to it massively.
Excellent. And I know I spoke to bands in the past who've had that slot on one of the days of Bloodstock, and they were given the choice of higher up on the Sophie stage or lower down on the main stage. Was that a choice you were given, or was it just this is your slot, you're going for it?
I don't believe so. I believe that was the slot we were given. We've done the Sophie stage twice now, so we opened. I think we had the same time slot a couple of years back on the Sophie stage. So we opened the Sophie stage on the Friday, and then the last time we played Bloodstock was a couple of years back, and I want to say it was like the 1 o'clock slot on the Sophie stage. So this is the third time of playing Bloodstock now, and it's really nice to be given that opportunity. And it's it is a little bit daunting, but by the same token, I think we'll absolutely smash it. We'll take every opportunity as it comes, and I'm looking forward. We do need a bigger banner though. We need something that's like stadium-sized banner sort of behind us, because it's the one we've got is like club gig size. It was fine for like the Sophie stage. I think it was like just big enough, but it's going to be dwarfed by the size of the Dio stage. So yeah, that's the only thing I need to work on.
Will the set at Bloodstock be any different to the rest of the tour? Are you planning anything special, given it's that big stage?
Well, see, now we're working on some new material, but I don't think it's going to be at a point where we want to put it in front of people by that. But yeah, I like by the time we're finished with this, the newer stuff we're writing, I think it'll be sort of at least tail end of the year, if not start of next year. I don't think it's going to be ready by that stage to grace the presence of Bloodstock Festival. It's still part of the Death Rattle tour. We still need to be pushing that album. So the majority of it will be off Death Rattle, but yeah, of course, we'll throw in a couple of the bangers off our old albums as well. Certainly. Yeah, we may do something special. We haven't really talked about it amongst ourselves yet, but yeah, it's worth thinking about a little bit. Yeah. To be decided.
So I mentioned before, and obviously the UK dates are spread out, and it's to juggle your day job and things like that. How hard is it to be in a touring band like you are, and recording and juggling your day jobs, your family life, and all of that?
I mean, it's a passion, right? We wouldn't be in this if it wasn't something that we truly enjoyed doing. It doesn't pay my wage as much as I would love to be a full-time musician, doing something purely for the love of it. It's like the fact that it doesn't pay us enough to hold down a mortgage or rent or whatever just shows that we do this because we truly love doing it. It's no different to like having a football club membership or whatever it is, or a fishing license you have to renew every year. What, like just plucking things out of the air. It's that, like, it's tough, but we do this because we enjoy doing it, and there can be points where it really is tough. It's not so much the balancing around the family and home life stuff. We've all got fairly understanding partners and families and stuff. It's more the grueling long journeys and the being held at the ferry port for hours because they need to check everything, and like that sort of side of it is where you kind of go, like, this is difficult. But yeah, I mean, we make it work. We discuss things between us. We kind of approach everything in a sort of an adult manner, right? We just sort of chat. Is this something that's worth doing? Is this something that we can realistically do? Can't do that show because we're playing in my other band previous night, or I can't be around then because I promised so and so that I'm going to be around. It's trying to work out the dynamics a little bit, but we do make it work. So. Yes, it can be a bit difficult, but we all enjoy it so much that we make it work.
Yeah. So when you are on the road and you're driving between dates in the van, what are you listening to at the moment? What as a group do you have on the stereo? Do you fight over the stereo?
It's interesting. So it can largely depend on who's driving, because they kind of get the majority vote. So heading to Banbury, I was actually just driving the gear, so I could listen to whatever I fancied. We have drivers that are more into their classical music. Just that's like, just to throw it out there. Some will basically leave the same Black Sabbath album on repeat for the duration of the tour. But it depends. I think sometimes it also depends on what the situation is if you're coming out of the venue, you're coming out like I don't know, you're leaving the city at 1 in the morning. You might not want to be blaring tunes. You might want something a bit softer, a bit more sort of like mellow, something a bit more stoner or something perhaps. There is no kind of go-to thing that we throw on, I guess. It's kind of when we're out on the road, we'll take a bunch of CDs with us. Might be films. Some of these drives are super long, right? So I think the longest we've got on the European run, I was looking up the other day, it's about 7 hours. It's when we head over to Prague, possibly 8. So we may have to break the trip up. I think it's Hamburg to Prague. I think that's the longest one. So in that time, you could listen to a few albums back to back and then throw a film on. It's just, and we do. So it varies. It does vary. There is no one. To be honest, the simplest answer for that would probably be so I drove the gear to the gig recently, and it was Queens of the Stone Age's. Was it Rated R? I think it was Rated R that I had on in the car. So that was the most recent one from recent memory. Is that
one? And you're not going to name who's got the Black Sabbath albums on repeat?
No, I don't think he'd be very appreciative of that. But it was coming back from. It was coming back from Europe, and I remember it was kind of like it was looping. It was it was cover to cover, and it was as much as I really enjoy Sabbath, like killer. But yeah, that was grating a little bit. Still, everyone's got their own kind of taste and input. We don't often squabble over what goes on. You're traveling for that long that everybody gets a bit of whatever they like anyway. So yeah, and there's certain things that have heavy rotation. It kind of depends on what stages we're going through personally with music as well. So sometimes it's a case of what is quite nice is when you're in the van and you're kind of going it's a discovery session. So you're kind of like, dude, have you heard this? That's awesome. I'm listening to something kind of similar. Or man, I'm in a really kind of like certain genre mood recently. Let me play you this. I'm not really feeling that. Can we switch? And that kind of collaboratively discovering music together is quite nice. As much as that happens when you're at the shows and stuff, right? If you're out on tour, you're spending like 2 weeks listening to music, listening to support acts, opening acts that you've never heard, but some you've never heard before. Some are like old friends you've not seen in a long time. So you get catching up with them, checking them out, hearing what stuff they've been putting out recently, and it's nice because it's kind of like you get exposure of 2 weeks just to pure good music. So that kind of rolls into the stuff you listen to on the road. Sometimes you walk away with a CD from that band last night that was playing, and it's like, these guys were awesome. Actually, we'll slam them on. Let's listen to them for a bit, and that sort of thing. And that's really nice as well. So yeah, sorry, I'm waffling for a bit, but hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. So do you have any dream tours that you'd like to be part of, whether you're headlining in a band you want to support or a band you want to be the support act for?
So there's lots of bands that I would love to be on the same bill as. I think a recent one that looked pretty tasty was Lamb of God, Mastodon, Ashes of Leviathan, the 20 years of each album. Like that looks incredible. I think it's just stateside, so it would have been awesome to be involved in that. I think it's like Zakk Wylde or something is who's it? I can't remember. Anyway, be awesome to be on that. Personally, I would love to be out on the road with Tool. I think they're coming back to the UK this year. Got tickets to see them. I think it's around June time. So yeah, I would love to have been on that one. I think they're out with Elder at the minute. I think that's a really good fit. It's going to be nice sharing the stage at Bloodstock with the likes of Clutch. I think we'd love to do a tour with Clutch. It'd be absolutely fantastic. There's tons of bands, man. There's loads of bands I'd love to be out on the road with, but yeah, it's the opportunity, isn't it? It's the right place, right time. I mean, I'd love to be out with Pink Floyd. It's just, yeah.
Fair enough.
I think that's about it.
Matt, thanks for your time tonight. And I wish you all the best with the tour. Obviously, as I said, it kicked off last weekend in Banbury. Dates run through pretty much to October. You're in Spain in October, and I'll put a link to all of the dates in the section below the video and the audio that goes out. But yeah, I hope it goes really well for you, and if not before, I will catch you at Bloodstock.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for chatting with me tonight. It's been good. Yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the tour now. Can't wait to get out. Yeah, I think we all are, to be honest. Really eager to get on it.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with all of our interviews by subscribing to our channel. For all the latest news, reviews, interviews and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.